How's that for on time, you whiny babies?
What the hell? Where did the Russian come from?
He just popped in. Just
How's it
like a
going,
Leica.
fellas?
It's like a Leica. They show up and run off again.
Yeah, quiet. Sneak up on you, you know.
Look at this guy. It's Lyndon's birthday today. He's a whole 11 years old. Him and Trevor.
Man.
So I guess I should wish him happy birthday instead of sending him pictures of boobies and say happy birthday.
And so at 11 years old, he's looking forward to the day that he can be 18 or 17 or 20 and get out of here and go make his mark on the world. And at 65 years old, I'm wishing I was 11 again.
I wish I was 11 years old. Yep. Yep. So, anyways,
Hey, look at that. Missy was the first one chiming in this evening.
I know. There she is, right there.
She's got a litter of pups there at the house. I think she should donate a little beagle pup to all of us.
Show us how it's done.
Yeah.
I got a couple half. I got a couple half beagles. I let a girl have one at the hound trials, and I think she gave it to her brother-in-law. I kept one, and my son-in-law is going to start running dogs. But we took that half beagle. We named it Bagel the Beagle. We took that to the hound trials, and shoot, he ran the water race, swam all the way across, everything. Kind of got on the other side, didn't know what to do, but I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll see if he makes something. So I got 2 people in the hunting.
There you go. Look at you.
One guy, he's a new dog guy. He bought a truck. He bought this truck, $1,000, like a 2007 Dodge 4-wheel drive. It wouldn't start. And so all it was a wire came off and touched the muffler and burned. Once he took that wire off, ungrounded it, this truck started right up. So he's like, here's my new dog truck.
Can't beat that.
Yep. So he is a little outlaw. I went in his room the other day. I said, dude, where's all your guns? They're not on your gun rack. I was trying to shoot a rock squirrel out that was chewing my wires. And he mini 14s on the top of his bed. His shotgun's like in between his bed. I'm like, God dang.
He's prepared.
Oh my gosh, look at
There he is.
here is the ghost of Christmas present.
Benny, I owe you a phone call. I promise, I really do. It's been crazy.
Don't worry about it. The phone lines have been clogged up. They're starting to get plaque just like in your arteries. And you know, when a guy's got business, a guy's got business. I've been wondering about so Dustin and I talked. A buddy of mine down here, a neighbor over here, he went to northern New Mexico and caught a big old bear, and he was talking to somebody over there, and my name came up. They don't talk about me, but they did. And so this brought this conversation with Dustin and I. So Dustin's supposed to come up with this T-shirt that will be hotcakes. Me and Derek will both order a gross apiece, and it's going to be, I'm a legend in the right crowd.
I thought he was going to say I'm a legend in my own mind.
In the right crowd. Yep.
That's funny.
Yes,
I tell you about that beagle I got. It has the worst bark ever because it likes to sit out there and howl and just. I'm like, oh my God, horrible. But we'll see how it works out.
Send that beagle to Oregon, and you won't be able to hear it from there.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
How are you thinking? That'll work.
Could you imagine if one of those beagles mounted that dog right there behind Derek?
Well, he'd have a little bit of good dog in it.
I wouldn't.
Hey, as long as we don't think which direction, it'll be all right. But look at Derek, got all quiet again. Dang it.
Hold on for a second.
I'm trying to eat real quick. I'm sorry.
That he was eating and keeping that profanity in at the same time.
Oh yeah, that's all right. We'll get your boy back on. That guy was pretty interesting.
Honestly,
Alex, I like
I
Alex.
like
Alex is cool.
Alex,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the conversation, and I took away a few things. When he was talking about, I get on these pages that are like, all the
That's crazy. I was just telling somebody
lack,
about.
for lack of better words, like the hippie and the
Yeah,
granola pages of people that just like to hike and just the people that don't hunt but go enjoy nature. I'm like, that's genius. You know what I did? I went and joined a whole bunch of them.
yep.
That makes sense.
And I'm learning.
That makes sense.
I'm
That's
learning.
exactly why your phone is on the fritz.
Oh, you're probably not kidding.
Yeah.
I joined them and I'm learning, in these groups of people that just love wildlife. I was actually speaking of Brandon.
We've seen that already, Brandon.
I was talking to Brandon today about joining some of these Facebook pages that are just people that just love wildlife. They're not hunters, but they love wildlife. They post where they see bears. Their Ring cameras catch bears. They catch lions. And you're like, oh, that's awesome. That looks like Brandon was saying, like, yeah, it looks like so-and-so area. And they're like, oh, it is. And it's like, sweet. I'm going to go there tomorrow.
That's how we
my secrets to everybody, Dustin.
Hey, that's how we catch hawks. We get on the bird watcher pages and they file coordinates of where they see these hawks, and we just go right over and catch that sucker the next day.
Yeah, like I mean, honestly, like that was one thing I picked up, when he was talking about how he went out to New Mexico because he followed these pages of where these hikers and these people that just enjoy nature were seeing these bears and all that.
Brandon's got a beer girl.
Yeah.
I tell you
Permanent.
what,
She's living.
that is the better half of the relationship there. I've met them both, and I know which one is the better half for sure.
He's not wrong. I'm not going to deny that.
Hey, Brandon, have you ever been a welder?
Yes, sir.
I could tell. You drink as much as bone pop.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
All right, I'm gonna tell you a secret, buddy. You got to learn to hide it.
What do you mean? I just put it in a Gatorade.
Yeah, just saying.
Oh, shit. I
Derek's
drink
over
about
there
as much Modelo as I do water.
Yeah.
So.
Derek's over there sipping on a straw, being like, I got you all beat.
Yeah.
I was talking
It's
to
just
a guy.
water, you guys.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy, and Brandon knows who I was talking to the other day, and he said, "Yeah, Brandon said, come on, just bring your bottle of liquor."
Yeah.
That was his payment. Bring me a bottle of liquor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, no comment. Brandon's shit.
Yeah, he
I don't know
does.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, he loves his Modelos. I showed up to camp the first day when I first met Brandon in person. When he invited me, he was like, "Hey, come hunt, come do whatever." There was cases of Modelo sitting there, and the cooler was full of Modelo, and I'm like, "Yeah, I can handle this."
It's at least 70% water.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
So what's going on, guys?
We're gonna have Trey and Wade from the Hounds. What is it? Hounds.
Horses, hounds, and mules
hounds.
sale. Yeah, I just honestly just got off the phone with Wade probably 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, Trey said, "Hey, can you send Wade a link to?" I said, "Jump
Awesome.
on whenever you guys want." So,
Yeah,
So,
I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be a good time.
gonna be a great time. I'm gonna be there. Gonna have like a small booth. Really is gonna be like a card table and some chairs with a couple things, just because I don't want to overwhelm it. But I really talked to Wade. I've been dealing with Wade and just want to support their cause, and I love the mule and the hound aspect of it, and I really think just the environment there is going to be
and you get to listen to Mike Leonard.
Yeah.
Hey, so Dustin, if you will get those shirts printed out and take some with you, I will buy the very first one in advance. Mike Leonard takes an extra large.
Perfect.
Benny, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Well, absolutely not. You just say, Mr. Leonard, this is a present
This
from
is
that
from Benny.
goofball Benny Griffin.
The legend in the right company. You're right.
That's it.
Louisiana hunting, that looks like divorce talk to me.
Oh, I tell you what, I love Jeremy, but I'm with you there.
I'm
Well,
sorry
look,
to
he
hear
doesn't-
about
let
your
him
he doesn't have
troubles.
to go there. Why doesn't Jeremy just say, hey, I got to run down to the southern end of the state?
How far are
Don't
you
call
from
me.
there, Jeremiah?
Oh, crap.
He's not far, from what I understand. He's not far.
And I'm sure he has some beer in his fridge.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so the sale is in.
Look at Brandon. Hey, I can. go back.
Yeah.
Justin, I
yeah.
don't think we're staying in a hotel anymore.
No, hell no. I'm with you there, Jeremy. I seen that last comment. You know,
That's the life I live.
We all do.
Buddy.
You're not alone, man. We
I
all
need her
do.
money too, bud.
That's how we do this.
We're all truthfully just a bunch of losers.
Surviving off their wives. Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, no,
Yeah, that'll be a good sale. It'll be good environment, good networking place. You know, everybody can kind of
and
put
that's
face to name and stuff like that. Because I know a lot of us talk over social media and share things over the year and stuff, and it'll be great to, you know, everybody can shake hands and actually get to talk about dogs and whatnot, and you know, decide whether we actually like each other or not. You know, who knows?
well, yeah. I mean, definitely, it's definitely an environment of, you know, you're gonna have the straight horse people there that are kind of bringing some stuff, the straight mule stuff, but you're gonna have that crossover, and that's not an environment that's like common. You know, you get your hounds, you get the bear hunters, you get the lion hunters, but the guys that hunt hounds off of mules or hounds off of horses and kind of combine all of that is a select kind of smaller environment, and to put all that in one place is I'm excited. I wanted to go last year, wasn't able to make it happen.
Yeah,
this year was kind of still up in the air, and today it kind of got decided for me for sure. So I'm excited.
Yep. Perfect.
Well,
yeah.
Speaking
it's
of the
real
man
cool
himself, there's
There
Wade.
he is.
We just had a phone conversation not more than 15 minutes ago. So
How are you guys?
good.
Well,
How you doing, Wade?
How's it going,
Good,
fellas?
What are you doing, Chris?
Oh, now we got them
howdy,
both.
Trey.
There's Wade and Trey. There we go. So yeah,
Hey, Trey, I think we've got a common friend.
We do?
Joel Garnett.
Yeah. No, but you don't need enemies when you got friends like that, don't you?
definitely.
Well, he's not as powerful as he used to be.
He's not.
When he was
I
a
am
judge,
evil.
he carried a little more clout.
Oh yeah. No, I see him and talk to him. I talk to him about twice a week and maybe see him every 2 weeks, probably.
That don't sound like a good thing sometimes. I told Dustin, I said, maybe I'll just ride my motorcycle up there. I said, you could jump on the back, but then everybody think we were Lyco owners.
Oh,
these fellas.
no! I tell you what, Derek, he was sure pushing for it. He was like,
I
"Oh,
said,
you just
man.
drive your truck up here." I said, "Dude, I got some gear to haul." He said, "Nah, we don't need that. Just ride the bike."
We just ride the bike together.
He's trying to cuddle with you. So
Yeah. Oh, you
That's
know.
all it is.
yeah.
Might get cold on the trail.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I'm excited to go to be a part of the environment that Trey and Wade have put together, and you know, and just to see the dogs, just the people that come and show up. I think it's a great thing they've done, and I'm truly excited to be a part of it and to go experience it. Whether I was a part of it or not wasn't in the equation. Just to go experience it was the reason for sure.
Oh, and don't forget the main reason we're going, to harass Chris Powell.
Well,
Oh yeah. So, well, you guys are on. Why don't you give us a little? Some people may not know what's going on, but you guys have a hound or horses, hounds, and mules sale. And you guys moved it from New Mexico, and you guys are now where?
Hesperus, Colorado.
The Tucson Ranch, right?
Yeah, at the Tucson Ranch in Hesperus, Colorado. It's really not very far from where we had it last year. It's only, what is it, Wade, 35, 40 minutes up there north of Farmington?
It's about 30 minutes north of where it's at. So it's really not that far, but it's a heck of a lot cooler. That's all I know. Heck of a lot cooler, yeah.
Better venue, right?
Definitely.
Yep. Yeah, very
A lot
nice.
better venue.
Yeah.
And it's pretty close to, if I was right, it's pretty close to Durango, which is, people can stay, do whatever. They're about a 15-minute drive, right?
Yep, it's about 15 minutes. Then we
Yeah,
do have
great.
a hotel there. It's the Holiday Inn off of 161. There's quite a few rooms there, but we went ahead and got a block of rooms under HHM. If anybody wants to go stay and doesn't want to fight the booking websites, they can just call in there and mention our sale, and they got them a spot. So
Oh, that's awesome.
everybody, and make sure it's the downtown one. So there's actually two of those in Durango, but you want to be on the one that's off 161. Pretty good way to remember it, downtown section, and that's the one. Real
Now it's a Holiday Inn, you said?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Gotta write it down.
So,
And then, so what is?
It'll be pretty neat. We've got a lot of stock this year. I think we got
yeah.
92 lots total.
Wow.
If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, Wade, was there 60, maybe 58 to 61 mules or something? Is that pretty close? And I think there's 13 or 14 head of horses and about the same amount of dogs. So
Wow.
We got 15 dogs, about let's see, probably be about 15 horses, and the rest is mules. So 52 mules, 15 horses, and then 15 dogs. So
Wow.
definitely, we like all of our great lineup of dogs coming this year. We're thankful for everybody's participation, and we kind of get a little nervous. We understand how hard it is to make those dogs, and when you make them, not only to have one, but to have a couple that you have that you can almost part with one if you needed to. And we're sure thankful for all our consigners this year. So very, very looking forward to everything.
and all 15 of those aren't all finished dogs. I think there's
Some
4 or
little
5 pups.
Yeah.
Little
So
pups.
there's 4 little guys, like little bitty guys, like little puppies.
Coffee.
So you guys kind of famous for selling some high dollar mules and high dollar dogs, but as far as the just a average, I mean, I'll just say the average broke ass houndsman. I mean, is there you guys get some good deals in there, affordable for us broke people?
I tell you what, a guy needs to do. A guy needs to buy one of our little puppies that come through there, because it's the exact same genetics for those dogs that we're selling for quite a bit of money. The exact same dogs. They're not a cull. They're not a discard. There's nothing wrong with them. And we ask them guys to save us one out of those litters. That's how much we think of the puppies that they bring us.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want to spend 10 to 15 on a finished dog, but you're like, I got 35 here, I would buy one of those puppies, because it's the best way to get into the best genetics in the line of your dogs.
Gotcha.
Hey
Definitely.
Chris, speaking of that, last year, you're talking about maybe the cheaper end of the dogs. We had some really good quality dogs that, in my opinion, didn't bring as much money as maybe they should have. Like we sold a dog for Larry Webb last year that was really good, and I think he brings $6,700.
Mm-hmm.
And then we sold a really good bitch for Travis Krunkenberg, and I think she brings $3,800. Now that was a finished dog, and got to go catch a line with her,
Mm-hmm.
and Larry's dog was really good. So I mean, I always tell everybody this, because this is just how I think about it, and maybe it's wrong or however but if you add the days that dog's been alive, and they probably were hunting him since he was a year old. So if he was 5, they've been hunting him 4 years. And if they hunted him 175 days, or 150 days out of the year, that 6,700 gets divided up pretty quick, and it doesn't add up to very many dollars per day to get trained on, you know.
No, it absolutely doesn't. You know, even when that big dog went through there for big money, you know, I think, what was it, 20,000 a couple years ago? And everybody
Sam
threw a fit
Derringer sold
about
the
it.
dog for 20.
Yeah, everybody was kind of like, wow, but you start thinking about it, and you could train 5, 6, 7, 8 dogs off of that dog in the next 2-3 years and get your money back.
Oh,
And didn't
What
that
about
dog,
your?
did that dog no sale that 20K one?
No, sir.
No, he sold.
No,
It
Derringer sold it.
went for 20,000.
Yep.
Or somewhere around there. What about your mules? I get a lot of questions about the mules because mules are already expensive enough.
Yeah.
You know, is there any? You got some pretty good deals on mules and horses that I just talked to a guy.
So what I thought, you know, if you look at sales all over the country, a guy needs to look at, you know, you'll go to their sale list, right? Their results list, and they'll say, hey, the mules average, top 10 mules averaged, you know, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Well, a guy really needs to take the top selling mule out of that top 10, take it off, and then take the number 10 mule off, and then do the average of the 8. And that's really a true, you know what, does that make sense? So you need to take those high sellers off and then do the average, and then you can get a better feel about what the mules averaged. You know, if you take our high sellers off of our deal and kind of look at it that way, you know, stuff gets affordable in a hurry. You know what I mean? So it's something that you got to look at, you know, people got to think about when they go to any sale in the world. Doesn't matter just our sale, but if you go to any horse sale in the country, you know,
well, do your research on who you're buying from too. You know what I mean? That's a big thing.
Most
sales is everybody knows. You got to know who you're buying from and what you're buying if you want to go in and, you know, put some good money down on something. And most of these guys that are out there, they have a pretty quality name. You know, that you guys don't recruit, you know, lackeys. You guys got some pretty high quality names on these auctions. Guys that are raising top dollar, you know, quality, very well bred dogs and very well bred horses and mules as well.
Well, most definitely, you know, and that's one thing, you know, that I'd like to credit to them, you know, with the Facebook and stuff, is they, you know, they put who the mule's coming from, who the dog's coming from, and you're more than welcome to message them and talk to them, you know, and I'm good friends with a few of the dogs and a few of the mules that are in the sale, you know, and I actually had a guy message me today because he knew that I was friends with one of the consigners on a dog and wanted to know more about it. So I called the guy that was selling and saying, hey, I have a guy interested. Tell me more about this dog. And I was able to relay the information, and he said he was more than grateful and definitely wants to do some online stuff and was, you know, more than happy to hear about what's coming up. And, you know, and it was about, you know, Wade Hollerman's Scream dog, which Scream is a nice dog. I've hunted with the dog personally, know the dog very well, and you know, I'm excited to see that sale and see, you know, what it would go for. And just I think you guys have really brought a niche together. You know, there's horses and mule sales all over the country, but to bring the hound aspect into it, you guys have brought in that niche that is really very special, and it brings in that environment that is just you can't beat it.
Well, that's why I like the registered horse sales. You know, it's not like a regular auction, and that's why I told the guy asking about I said, well, go up there. You might be able to get a mule pretty good price, you know, because like a registered horse auction, those guys are up there to sell a horse. They're not up there to sell a $1,500 horse. You know, they're not up. They're up there $10,000, $20,000, and they're out there roping on them. They're moving cattle. They're showing you. That's what I like about this. And I think you guys even have a few videos on your stuff that the people can. They're working their dogs and their mules and their horses, so you can kind of watch them. And then the people there, they're not just dropping them off. You know, we used to run an auction. I was a bad auction guy. I was like a gambler at a casino when it came to auctions. Me and my dad used to spend like $10,000, $15,000 a week at auctions, you know, just buying and selling. It's kind of a bad habit, but these registered auctions, like what you guys got going on too, the people are there and they'll tell you and they'll let you ride, and they'll show you the videos, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
Because it's more personal, and they're there to guarantee soundness.
We want everybody to be as hands-on as possible.
Mhm.
Especially with the dogs. You know, that's one thing. You know, we encourage everybody to have at least at least a 14 to 30 day trial with the hounds. You know, how do you take a dog out and try him? You can just see the guy and talk with him and visit with him about it, but till you take him out and go use him, you don't really know. You know what I mean? So this is where we go off of, guys that we visit with them and we talk with them about their dogs, and we try to get a good feel about what's everything going on. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there was an old timer at one time said that some of the best dogs in the country aren't necessarily from, I might be butchering this, but he said nobody knows who they are. They're ranch kids, ranch guys that never say a word. They're out there just checking water and checking yada, 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 and they're checking cows. And those are a lot of some of the best dogs in the world, So
Very much.
we
so.
understand that. Wade and I very much understand that. But we want everybody to get hands-on, and we want you to me and Wade have JOBs. We don't have to
Whoa. We
Yeah.
don't talk about that shit on this show.
Yeah.
Word to us guys. I don't think any of us have one. Oh wait,
Yeah.
Derek has one.
So
It's a little bit longer.
We're not just out there trying to. We just enjoy it. So
Yeah.
we want people to enjoy it too.
You had a
We
question.
want them to
there
get a
that-
good dog. What a better way to. We want you to get an extremely good one. I hope you catch one the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd be great. So.
Yeah, you had a question there. They asked when the last day to consign is. Like, when do you guys shut your consignment down as far as
June 25th. We've already got our catalog printed out. And if you want to check that out, go check it out on our Facebook.
It's a good catalog.
There's a picture of a guy standing on the back of his mule butterfly rope. So check
Seen
it out.
that. Yeah. I went through that catalog today. So
tell
Who
us
is that catalog cover, Wade?
So that's Linnell Baird, and my grandpa's in the back of the stock racks jumping his mule in.
You're gonna have to tell everybody who your granddad was.
My grandpa's name was Ray Hatch. Yeah, he had that set of stock racks, and I don't really know what happened. I think they disintegrated, but that would have been in yes. And he had there's a trailer manufacturing company here called Sonny Smith Trailers, and they built that. They matched the two-tone Ford. It was I guess the Ford was an 84 or 85. And yeah, they were quite the deal. He said he could put 2 big mules or 3 little ones. They head up the hill. They had dog boxes on the front, went over the cab, and then they had a board that went down, and then they had a piece of shag carpet screwed into the hood, and that's how they rigged bears. And that was right when rigging bears started getting interesting. Let's see, my grandpa started hunting with Van Johnson, I guess probably 70s. And that's kind of when rigging bears started becoming popular, and nobody really hunted very much like that.
Yeah.
And that's how they started doing that deal. So we didn't have the whole dog box deal was non-existent. They didn't strap them things to the hood of their pickup and went up the hill. So kind of interesting way, good stuff.
So what's your scheduling here? It's the 18th and 19th. The sale's the 19th, but 18th. What's going on Friday?
Well, we got a little trail ride. Is it 9 or 9:30, Trey? 9, right?
9 o'clock. Ride through the Rockies.
Ride through the Rockies. Come on. Yeah, we started doing this trail ride, I guess, 3 years ago, and we didn't know we'd have so many people looking forward to it. So we kind of have to have a better senior. The first year we did it wasn't really that great, to be honest, but it was good anyways. And then last year we did it. We had a good spot, good canyon to ride up. So we're going to have to outdo ourselves again this year. And then 2:30, we'll do the roping preview. We have some rope horses, then some of the mules they ranch on. They rope a little bit. So we'll have some steers and team rope. And do a little arena riding. And then let's see, what are we doing? 5:30 is when we match race?
Yeah, 5:30 is a mule match race.
Yeah, mule match race. They built their track, and we'll Calcutta that deal and have a couple of heats, and that'll be pretty dang fun. And then after that, we'll have our dinner. We got Zia Taqueria going to cater it. We got Mike Leonard going to sing and just have a
And
fun
Bobby.
evening, and Bobby, and man, pretty looking forward to everything. First time we're kind of doing it like this. We haven't had Friday night or anything as formal or as set up as this. We've done some little stuff where it was kind of not as structured, and we're really excited how it's looking so far.
So for guys that weren't able to purchase the dinner tickets early, are they still able to come hang out Friday night? Is there going to be
expect 70% of the deal to be there in person? Yeah, and if you don't want to have the dinner, it's all good. That's just for the catering and all that stuff.
So you can purchase the dinner still.
Is there any available at the door?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
awesome.
And that's really what we planned for. I mean, they had early ticket sales, but we expect 70% of everybody to just be there the day of.
Yes.
Good deal.
That's just the nature of our business. That's the nature of our people. I don't even know half the time where I'm going to be tomorrow night anyways. So, and you know,
Just wanted to make sure. So Friday night's the hangout night, and then you'll move on to Saturday, which is the sale, right?
yeah, 11 a.m. We'll fire up with the dogs, and then we'll sell mules and horses. And it'll be
Now,
good.
before that 11 a.m., you guys got some viewing stuff going on?
Not on Saturday. Just well, you can. It's up to your own discretion. We'll have all the consigners there, and you want to go through them and look at everything, hammer down. But Friday is when we really try to gather everybody up. We want everybody to have a whole day to look at that stuff. And most of the meals will be showing up Wednesday and Thursday too. So if somebody wants to come early, there's camping spots there. I think $35 a night to hook up, $20 to dry camp, just with electricity and stuff. I think, and then there's no showers there. I have had that question a couple times.
Is there corrals there?
Well, we do have stalls. Yes, sir. We have stalls for all our consigners, and they'll come, and we got all their stalls reserved. And it's just like a regular fairgrounds. It's kind of nice. It's privately owned. We don't have to necessarily deal with the county or anything like that, so we can just deal with the individual straightforward. It's really worked out well for us this year. We really hope that we can be here for the duration of however long we want to do this, which seems to be a pretty long time. I asked Trey the other day, I said, are we going to be 80 years old putting this deal together? I said, oh my goodness.
Very possible.
I told him I hope not.
So day of the sale, what is there anything going on besides the sale? I mean, I kind of asked this as a loaded question because you and I talked on the phone, but you got some vendors coming in as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So we don't have anything extracurricular other than the sale starting at 11. So that's all. That's all we're worried about. Probably gonna be a pile of people there, and Mr. Coldstrike here, the man himself. So he's actually donating sponsoring us with the Garmin holder, high selling consigner of the Hound. Just gonna get him a little Garmin deal, that goes and holds it so we don't lose it. Because I've lost my Garmin before, and that was not very much fun.
No, it's never fun when you lose them. So.
No, I had the old school Garmin. I was like practically one level above a beeper,
Hey man, I had the 220 until last year. So
yeah, that's where I was. I lost it and I bought a new one. Man, I wish I would have lost it years ago.
I had 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, technology's come a long way on those things.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Definitely.
So everybody, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I'd love for you guys. I know sponsors, and I'm not saying this just because I'm doing something, but anybody that's sponsoring it or helping you guys out, I'd love for you to give them a shout out because I know how much that means to these guys. And anybody that's gonna have a booth or whatever, definitely give them a shout out. And I'm proud to be a part of it for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We are so thankful. It's the first year we've ever had sponsors, and we're just as dang excited about that because it shows that we enjoy doing the sale, but we're more interested in community between the houndsmen and the hunters and the cowboys. Like Trey and I, like he said, we got regular jobs. He sells. I run cows for a guy and hunt a little bit, and we really do this because we enjoy the people and enjoy bringing everybody together. But we have Cold Strike, Houndsman XP, Elite Nutrition, Whitaker Brothers is not necessarily listed as a sponsor, but I'm going to go ahead and throw him out there because he's bringing his tack, and we're
That's
thankful
cool.
to have him coming.
Awesome.
Bring his little sheep wagon. Really excited to see how all that's set up. And then we got Full Flight Magazine too, so they run an ad for us. He's not going to be able to be there himself. He's living in like a river
He's
camp.
busy.
He's fishing. He's running a fish camp.
Yeah.
Old Jason. Yeah.
He's calling it. He's saying that little 3-letter word you guys say, a job.
Yeah.
That's BS. That ain't no damn job. He's getting paid to do exactly what he wants to do.
So
Hey, I think there was a question. The sale's going to be located at the Tucson Ranch in Hesperus, Colorado.
Yep.
For the person that was asking that question, Tucson
You
Ranch.
got a
Hesperus.
website? You guys got a website or somewhere to go?
We've only got a Facebook, Horses, Hounds, and Mules on Facebook. We're a little degenerate on the Facebook. Is just such a good tool. We need to get us a website, but man, it's so handy.
Yep. Got to get
Well,
on
people
that
can
social
share
media.
it quite easy when that goes on. It's it's one click of a button and everybody's got the ability to get it out there super easy, and everybody's about the convenience of things nowadays. So I think it's a great thing.
Yes, sir.
yeah, and if any of the viewers here watching, check our Facebook. Yeah, we got our flyer, phone numbers on there. If you guys have any questions, give us a call. We'll talk to you. If I don't answer, Trey probably will, and if you don't answer, I'll call you back. So it's all good. We'll make sure and get a hold of everybody.
If not, just start calling everybody they know to start calling them.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. They'll probably have a better answer anyways than us.
Hey,
so.
let me post Dustin's number right here real quick. And
Oh, hey now. No.
Yeah.
Juliana looked it up.
Hey,
but it's
post his number after the sale. So if we get any complaints, he can be the one to handle it.
Exactly.
Oh, there you go.
In Colorado. She looked it up, but she's wrong. It said New Mexico, August 6th, but it's Colorado,
Hesperus,
Yeah.
Colorado.
Hesperus.
And it's kind of weird that
July
address.
18th and 19th. Yeah.
Yep.
So that
Yeah.
address on that deal will take you right to where you need to go.
Great.
But really, it's like 4 miles south of the cow sale there in Breen, even though it says Hesperus. I don't know why it says that. If you punch it into Google or Apple Maps, it'll take you exactly there. But you actually go through the town of Breen. It's kind of weird. I don't know why.
Okay.
Yeah, so the address, just look up Tucson Ranch. It'll come up 256 Malongra Way, Hesperus, Colorado. Punch that in, and bam, you're there. And we'll have a bunch of signs set up on sale day, too, off the highway. There's literally one road to the whole deal. 2-lane road, boom, boom. One goes Farmington, one goes Durango, and somewhere in the middle on there, you head east, bam, you're at the facility.
Perfect.
Hey,
I'm
Benny,
Looking forward to it.
Joe got that new Jeep. Y'all could probably just press the directions in there, get you a case of beer. You can drive up, pick up Joel, and you might just drive you right up to the sale.
That's a man that knows how to mess with the old man here. Benny's been sitting there with his arms folded thinking, I don't know if I'm going to come, but that offer might just stand right there.
Yeah.
I posted on, I think Chris shared a deal, and I said, in my opinion, the only reason to go would be to be there with Mike and Bobby Nail. Those two are going to bring so much to your sale, just the environment. And it's not anything against your sale. And I put that comes across real harsh and wrong. I'm just a private treaty person. That's all. So
Right.
Well,
being in that,
if you guys bring enough Modelo, we'll get Brandon to sing.
Yeah, there you go.
I got a guitar. I'll bring it.
Water
I got a
up there.
ukulele, harmonica. Dustin will play backup. We'll be good. to
There
go.
we go.
Go.
but no kidding. The 1st of May, Mike was telling me that you guys had reached out to him, and I said, well, that'd be pretty fun. And those guys are booked a lot, and they're extremely talented. I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys have been around either one of them, but they're a lot
We've
of fun too.
Heard a little of their stuff. It'll be fun. There'll be a lot of BS getting thrown around, don't you think?
Well, yeah.
Well, if Dustin's there,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
there
going to
you
get
go.
deep. I mean, I hope all these boys bring their waiters for
that's
sure,
right.
because the shit's gonna get deep for sure. But
One thing
you
about
know-
lion hunters, a good friend told me, he said, you can lie to your friends and you can lie to your family, but you can't lie to yourself forever.
Yeah, no, exactly. You know, and like I said, you know, I was talking to friends that have been to it today, you know, in years past, and they said just the environment and the people and just all of that is so worth going. That, you know, the sale is the cherry on top, but the environment that y'all have put together, it is truly the gem, and I'm so excited for that.
You know, it's interesting you say that, like environment. Like one thing that we love about sales, you know, my family's in the cow sale business. Trey it's all he does is cow sale. And true price discovery is an interesting thing. You know, you can say, well, I think it's worth this much. Well, what's it really worth? We're going to have people evaluate. It's like having a bunch of appraisers immediately tell you what it's worth on July 19th at 11 a.m. We're going to know exactly what it's
Yeah.
worth that day.
That's exactly right. At that particular time and place.
Yeah, at that particular time and place, and so that's one of the things that, you know, it's been interesting about the dogs, because before this, I mean, what's he worth? You know, we don't, especially with big game hounds. You know, the coon dog deal. You know, they have trials, you register them. I mean, it's lion dog. How do we appraise a lion dog? There's a lot
and it's more than just a normal lion dog. It's a lion dog that's hunted off of mostly hounds and mules, you know, or horses and mules. Sorry, and it's like you got the guys that are out free casting dogs rather than just looking for a hot track. That creates a whole different type of dog. You know, when you got to build that honesty on a dog that can go out on its own, locate its own track, and then push that track. That's a different type of dog than a dog that's been put on a track its entire life. I don't care who you are or what you say. That's 100% a different dog.
Yes, sir.
No, absolutely, yeah.
You know, kind of building off what Wade said there. You know, when he said that true price discovery thing, you know, we understand. And I was talking to Steve Smith on the phone one day, and he said, Trey, this ain't nothing new. He said, we sold dogs for $20,000 back in the 80s, right? I mean, that's pretty wild. I mean, it's really cool. I wasn't around during the 80s. And what's tough about it is, now correct me if I'm wrong, you could go buy a brand new pickup for $6,500 in the 80s. Is that right, or is that wrong?
That's
Yeah.
You're pretty close. Ask Benny, he knows.
Benny, is that right? I mean, tell me, you know more than
It's
it's
pretty
more
close.
than we know.
Yeah.
It's really pretty close, and Steve would know what the dogs were selling for, because in that small circle, nobody sold dogs for as much as Steve did consistently.
Yes, sir.
And you know what's crazy about that? There was it wasn't a cell phone. It was your living room phone ringing.
Right.
Someone saying, you got a
That's
dog
right.
for sale. And you said,
Yeah.
who is this? Well, so-and-so said you might. So you had to have somebody like sponsor you to get a dog from somebody.
Yeah.
Well, you still do.
Yeah. And see, that's I'm glad y'all brought that up, because I feel like maybe like if, you know, I think back to when I was trying to get into it, I had no idea who to call or what to, you know, I didn't know. I mean, I couldn't just, me as a, you know, just thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know if I could just call this guy and ask him if he'll sell me a dog. You know what I mean? Like me being a young guy, I can get on YouTube and look up dry ground lion hunting, you know, and Brett would pull up and you know, maybe the Derringers would pull up, or bigger staff would pull up, or you know, on all these viral videos. Well, I just started picking up the phone. I called, but I think our sale, it opens the door for some of those guys that don't know to pick up, you know, like maybe nervous to pick up the phone or can't get a hold of them, or, you know, it opens doors and it allows everybody that's interested in that animal to bid on that dog at that time. And whoever wants to dish out the cash for them can do so, you know. But anyway.
Yeah. No,
I remember
exactly
Brett.
Right. Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's a thing I gripe about a ton for new guys is the barrier to entry. Like they said, you gotta if they don't know you, they won't sell you nothing. But a deal like what y'all got going on, they ain't gonna tell you you in the sale, you got the money, you gonna spend the money, you can buy the dog. I think it's a good thing.
Well, it's the most guys that hunt lion and bears that we all know. It's a very, very small circle. I guarantee you the gatekeeping fee is kind of high unless you're raised in it. And you have
a
Yes,
small
sir.
circle separated by thousands of miles and many different groups.
yeah, it's a
That's
weird
right.
community in a way.
Yep.
And we gather everybody there and you just have somebody you really respect. Well, there ain't nothing stopping you from walking up. How are you, man? What's your dog's name? I'm interested.
Well, I remember me, Brett, and Benny went down for Earn Your Spurs.
Oh
And-
yeah, down at Douglas.
Yeah,
I've
I
been
should.
there before.
I got to shake Warner Glenn's hand, and immediately I was 10% better lion hunter just by shaking his hand. I may not have been in real life, but in my mind, he transferred a little bit of power to me, and it is crazy. I remember Brett telling me a story about going over to Mike Roots and asking for a dog, and that it really takes a lot of balls to do it, because these are guys that they out character you by all means, and you're just some little puny guy who hadn't caught a lion for a couple years, and you're started with puppies from the guys who probably laugh now and say, I gave him that dog, and you had to make something out of a dog that you didn't know the lines. You didn't even care about lines. You seen long ears, and that was it. And you were going out trying to catch coons, and you were doing your drags. Everybody went through that.
Yep.
I think you have to go through that. You have to go through that failure of not catching something for a couple years, and you got a dog that you're like, man, it ain't do nothing. And then one day, Richard Dickerson, on his interview with Brett, he said he remembers his first lion today. He walked up to that lion and he remembers it like it was yesterday. And I think you have to go through those trials of failure to become a Warner Glenn or Steve Smith or any of these guys that we kind of idolize.
Like I said before, there's a lot of heartbreak before the reward in this game, man.
Oh boy.
You gotta be a glutton for heartbreak if you want to.
And it don't stop. It don't stop.
That's right.
I was on the phone.
Then you get lucky and pop up a couple real quick and think you got it figured out, and then
you're Ben Lilly.
then you spend 4 months just beating your head against a rock for the rest of the season.
Joe Hott, I seen him on the side of the road one day in the summer, and I turned around. I was headed up the mountain, and I said, "Hey, Joe," and he's still talking on a flip phone. And I said, "Hey, Joe, you all right?" He goes, "Yeah, I just pulled over to talk on the phone." And he's telling me a story. Yeah, look, a couple weeks ago, man, I caught 2-3 lions. I thought I was Ben Lilly. I haven't caught shit since. It's been 2-3 weeks, So
Just
got to go
curious,
through those trials.
what year were you there at Douglas at the Earn Your Spurs deal?
2 years ago.
2 years ago? Yeah, I was there. They had the match race and the ranch rodeo. Gosh, I think it was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. Yep.
You look at Brett's comments there. He was talking when you said that he went over and asked Mike Root for a dog, and he said that was in 1981. And now, just look at that. Back then, he said he'd rather hit one in the head than sell one to me. And now Brett's
Yeah, there you go.
he's proved himself to everybody, including Mike Root.
It takes time. Sometimes it just kind of takes that. You got to put yourself out there. You got to put yourself in the work and go from there. Like Benny's saying, sometimes you go ask and they turn you down, and 10 years later they realize you're serious. You want to be what you are, what you say you're going to be, and go from there for sure.
There's a lot of wannabes in this world nowadays.
Oh.
And that's the thing, is that you can sit there and talk all that you want about what you want to do and what you think you can do, but if you put the work in, there's nothing that can replace that. And and there's nothing that will show in a horse, a hound, or a mule if it hasn't had the work put into it. And that is only one thing that is, like we've talked about hundreds of times, it's time. And if you have to put your time in, and that's how you build respect in this game. You can talk all the talk, you can know the people, but the longer you put your time in, the harder you work, the the better your results will turn out. And that's quite simple.
Well, you know,
Oh, very.
I was talking to Benny too, but me and Brandon are talking about dogs. He called and said, "Hey, this guy has these pups for $800," and I tell people my pup. I'm nobody, and I tell people my pups are $500, and that's only to weed out. When you sell a pup kind of high instead of for $100, you tell them 500, you'll find out who really wants to get into the game.
Yeah.
And I think that does now when you see a Labradoodle for 8 weeks old for $1,800, and you can't sell a hound pup for $300, save your life. There's like something wrong with that. But it takes a certain type of person to want that puppy.
Well, let's go here. Let's talk about this for half a second. So I lost a dog that I paid some good money for, and I didn't have her for nearly as long as I should have had. And she passed away on me, freak deal, just out of nowhere. And I had it put to me really well by the guy that I got her from. Is, we talk about all this money we put into these things or whatever, but we don't we look at it and we go, well, it's a dog, and gosh, how could you pay that much for a dog or this and that? But at the end of the day, this is what we do. This is what we love. We do this stuff every day we possibly can. The guys that are really into it anyway, right? You get out there, you're going 4 to 7 days a week, at minimum, and ask those guys about their bass boat that they got in their garage and how much money they got into it. How many days a week did they take that thing out during the year? How many weekends a year did they get that bass boat out that they put 30 or 40 grand into? You put $10,000 into a dog and you hunt it every single day because it's what you love and it's what you do. Your money's pretty well spent.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. I just wish Chase Bank would let me finance $60,000 like they will this truck. They let me pay the dogs off over 4 years like they do my pickup. I might get some better dogs.
We gotta tell them what it's for. Just saying.
Yeah.
So why don't you
Even a $20,000.
Well, he can take his brand new pickup and trade it off.
Yeah.
Well, then I won't have a pickup.
Listen,
Hey.
everything. I'm
Hey.
trying to give you problems.
But I've seen guys hunt them out of Subarus.
Well, yeah, but
I've seen guys hunt them out of Honda.
I still owe
All you
$30,000
gotta
on the
do is
pickup,
have-
though. See,
Was that
It's wheels, man.
Corby-
It's wheels. Just get you
Corby
there.
Fawcett was taking out his wife's car and hunting out of there a couple of winters ago because his truck.
I did that last year when I blew a tire.
You know what? That's how we sell wheels. Nobody
Yeah.
Yeah, the original 4x4.
The original 4x4. Yeah.
Yeah.
I knocked an old slap
That's
from
right.
my Tacoma on the eastern side of the state, and it sat up on a mesa for a couple of days, and I didn't have my mules with me, and I don't really like to walk.
Oh.
So,
Hey, we have a guy that comes on here once in a while, Jared. He loved to walk, right, Brandon? And now all of a sudden, he
I
said,
put him on 4
I am
legs.
done
And he
walking.
figured out
My
it's a
knees
lot better
hurt.
than running on 2.
Oh, he's
I
getting
have-
Mustangs trained.
I ever hunt
He's
off a
doing
dang
it
horse
all.
or mule with these big game. It might ruin me too. I'm scared to try it.
Yep.
I
it's
tell you
like
what,
Mustangs.
it will ruin you.
It
Plain
will.
Simple.
100%. I don't even like getting off. When I first thought, that was you got to get off the things a little more, get them more. I hardly get off the damn thing anymore. I'll tell you, I went for a hike last week. It was just too dang hot to be taking the mules out and stuff. And I went for a hike, dogs exercising and stuff last week, and my legs were feeling it. That's for sure. It's been a while. And
I can see right now, Brandon, you're showing me that you're not 100% sold because it's never too damn hot to
No.
take that mule out of your.
Yeah, I'm still soft on them. I'm not too hard on them yet. I gotta figure out their boundaries.
Hey,
I've only
okay,
had
ask
'em for-
these two guys right here that
Yeah.
have the sale going. When do you not want to ride your mule when you're exercising your dog?
Well, I know a mule can stand a little more heat than a dog can. You're going to heat stroke your dog, the mule's still probably be all right. I'll tell you how tough these things are. I got a little string of them I work cows on. and I work on a cow permit. And there's like one road kind of to a trailhead, and then there's one road, I don't know, about 17 miles to the north at another trailhead. And so I kind of move them things, I park depending on where they're at. And I average probably between 18 20 miles a day riding. I didn't work, but most days I usually 18 to 20 miles, and I ain't never had one not too hot, nothing.
Never, even heat of summer. Huh? I think that's just the newness to it. You're gentler on things when you first figure it out, just because you don't want to.
Now, Wade,
About
also,
them,
Wade, how also you got to remind everybody, you're how high elevation and there's water everywhere.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah, you can water. If you can water your dog, you can ride all day.
Yeah.
If you're in southern Arizona,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to work at 3 in the morning.
We're pretty dry up here right now. Southern Arizona's got more water than we do, to be honest. Where I'm at up in the high country, maybe 1 out of 5 tanks has water right now.
Same where I'm at.
Yeah, it's pretty dry.
It's
But I'm that guy that likes to walk. I'll walk as much as I can going out because I want my mule to be a little bit fresh when I'm lazy
Go home.
lazy guy, and when I want to turn him around and that mule says, all right, I'll take you home. I try to keep him kind of fresh the whole time. I don't ride, like I'll ride, but if I get up through dirty canyons, I'll kind of walk her up through there and then try to keep her a little bit fresh to get me home.
Brett and I were down there hunting with John Clump. Brett keeps worrying about he says, I'm a big boy. And I'm thinking, well, you only got 10 pounds on me, Brett. And John kept saying, Brett, don't get off that horse. That son of a bitch can carry you. He says, this isn't the first time he's been in this country. He says, just keep on and keep on. And Brett would get off and he'd fall way behind. And I'm trying to, in that real rough, brushy country and those mountains down there, and I'm trying to keep Brett abreast of where John and I are, and I'm not trying to lose John at the same time. I'm in the middle, and I'm thinking, get on that damn thing and spurt it. Come on, it'll go.
Yeah.
Well, he did.
So,
out hunting, he took one of my mules and he was out riding that sucker all over through shit that I was like not quite as confident in before. Now I take him through all similar stuff and worse. I've been pushing my limits a little bit more, figuring out what the capabilities of these guys really are, because it'll amaze you, and I think it's a bit of self-preservation on my point, not trying to hurt myself as well as hurt my mule. When I first got into mules, I had a pretty rough one that took me for a ride and kicked my ass a little bit a few times, and out in the middle of nowhere and just all sorts of stuff. And so you get that little bit of few things that happen here and there, and you just kind of get a little soft on them, I think. But I think my thing is just time and getting more confidence in it, going through tougher country. It's like you don't really realize what they can go through till you do it, and then once you do it, you're like, okay, it's not so bad.
Well, it's the same with dogs.
Yeah, very much so.
If you buy a dog versus starting a dog from a pup, you got to learn what that dog can handle. Same with the mule. You got to learn what tough conditions he can go through, how you push him, and if it's not something you've done your whole life, you're not quite familiar with it, so you're going to learn to push those boundaries. And when you first get them, I get it. Like it's a big investment. I just spent. I mean, you go to the horses, hounds, and mules sale. You spend $15,000 on a mule. And it's the first mule you bought. You're gonna baby the son of a bitch. You really are.
Oh yeah.
Just because it's different,
Yeah.
and until you get into that habit of, what, these suckers will eat anything I put them in front of. They're gonna eat nasty branches. They're gonna eat oak brush. They're gonna eat sagebrush. They're gonna eat anything as we go for this ride, and they'll push through. They're gonna go up the hard country. They're gonna dig deep. They're gonna push through these rocky canyons, and you really learn what they can put themselves through, but also what you can put yourself through following these dogs. And it's just for lack of better words, it's an acquired taste that they'll figure out, and you're going to figure out if it's something you haven't lived through your whole life.
Yeah.
Very,
Absolutely.
very much so.
If you'll just go work cattle with one of our guests right here.
Well, that's what my buddy's going to take me to go work some cattle this fall. So I'm actually pretty excited about getting back.
There's nothing more frustrating than working cattle because it is nothing but trouble tied in a leather bag. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
You guys brought up that idea of like being worried about your dogs or worried about your mules, and this is kind of one of those things where you want to hope for the best but prepare for the worst. And, since we started selling these dogs, we gave a market value to them the day of, right? So then that in turn allowed them to be insured.
Yeah, that is something I just learned about the ins and outs of it all, and I actually found somebody that is a big quality insurer that doesn't charge an arm and a leg either.
I think in modern times, if we're going to give quite a few dollars for them, man, I think it's smart because you guys know just as well as I can, you can be cruising through the softest country in the world and have an accident or buying something.
Yeah. Well, like I just said, I just lost a high dollar dog out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
She just passed, and she was just fine, and then within 30 hours she went to find and dead. And it's like that can happen. And guys,
it's the same thing with people. That's why they have a heart insurance. When you buy your meal, you show a receipt, you paid for it at the HHM sale, they're going to insure it. Call up surgery and one of the options there on equine. But I think that's been one of the positives. I think is the guy can insure his dogs. Now he can say like, I believe these things are worth this much, and this falls in my market value at current time, but they can't really tell you no.
That's right.
I thought that was kind of interesting side of things.
I played the mule roulette. I had a guy say, "You want a mule?" And when someone gives you something for free, you got to be real careful, And I'm asking a few questions out there, and they couldn't catch her in the pin hardly. And oh, he's telling me this stuff, and his son's back there, kind of like, no. But she's been it's my first mule I had, the free mule, and I'm back in Choya, and she's been 100% fabulous for me. And I got real lucky on a free mule because you know how it is. You buy a $1,500 horse, there's a reason. You buy a $20,000 horse, there's a reason. So that free thing's kind of a scary word. Or you see a mule out there for $2-3 grand. I bought a $2,000 mule. She's like, I don't even know how old she is. I bet you she's 30 years old, but I could put anybody on her, and they'll follow me anywhere I go. So. Yeah.
I've heard John Clump's got some pretty rank mules.
Rank for who? Us or John? What's that shirt you said, Benny? What's that shirt?
I'm a legend in the right crowd.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah. Anything else, guys, that you want to throw out there? Shoot, I thought you guys were going to be on for like 20 minutes, but it's been an hour. we get talking on this show.
Well, I think if there's anybody watching that can't make it to the sale, we've got an online platform that is going to be streaming the sale live at cci.live. cci.live.
And you can bid?
Yeah, you can bid that. You can bid on there, or you can just watch the sale. It don't cost you nothing. If you just want to get on there and watch, you can get on there and watch the sale. And you can get on there and register to bid. If you're coming to the sale and you're planning on coming to buy something, we take a check, cash, and a letter of credit from the bank, and we also take credit cards. So if you're on your way and you're coming and you're thinking about buying something, we just want you to be prepared in order to.
Is there a bid-in fee, buy-in to bid? You have to put.
Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, if you smell like you're going to bid, you can show up and bid on it.
I'll make sure, like I I say, I'll make sure I'll be there, but I'll make sure I sell or share anything that can help spread it and that live bid option. Chris will be there as well. You know, we're really hoping we can promote this and spread it as far as we can for sure.
Brandon, you gonna make it?
Yes, sir. I'll be there. I'm gonna ride up with Dustin.
Yep. Brandon's riding. He's riding shotgun.
Yes, sir.
What about you, Derek? Are you coming?
I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it.
You know
fellas.
that goofy sucker that hunts in Lycas, he's just gonna hunt. He's gonna stay in this country.
We didn't let him come yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah, they told me I had to stay home.
It's mostly
I
because
would
nobody can understand him when he talks. But
I would think that it would be good for Derek's networking and rubbing elbows with all that.
very much so.
I'd love to go. I just don't think I've got the. I don't think I got the funds to get out there. Was this 8-hour drive, and I'm a broke joker.
Chris is going.
Chris has
That's
a
all you got to
backseat
do
on
is drive 4 hours to my
Yeah, then you
house.
can ride motorcycle shotgun. That's extra special.
There you go, buddy.
I
There
turned
we
him
go.
down on riding the back of his motorcycle, but I'll bet he'd let you ride the front.
That's how me and Derek met. Me and my dad were at a stoplight in our truck, and this long-haired hippie runs up on the side of us and says, "Hey, you guys run dogs?" And he goes, "Oh hell, are you Chris?" I said, "Yes, I am." And that's how we met.
I seen his
Man,
truck.
could
And
have been
I should.
for road rage.
When someone comes up to you 100 miles an hour and start
Yeah.
asking you questions, yep. I told my dad, roll that damn window up. Roll it up, hurry.
Comes this dude's got long hair. Roll it up. You never know who you run into in this valley.
Yep. Well, we appreciate you guys coming on, letting us
Yeah,
know
we're
what's
looking
going
forward
on.
to
Yeah,
being
thank
there,
you for
guys.
having
It's
us.
gonna be awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. You guys got our phone numbers, so
Yeah.
give us a
Yes,
call
sir.
anytime you want to visit or hang out or whatever we need to do to help. So we're here.
Yes, sir.
Works for us.
Appreciate it. I'm excited for the turnout. I think it's going to be great. The environment is going to be awesome, and really excited for it for sure.
Awesome.
Hey, I'm just curious. Have you guys talked Steve Smith into going?
You know, last year, him and Ellison Carter were going to try to come up there and eat. And you know Ellison,
I
Benny?
do not know him. I know of him.
Yeah, sir. They were going to come up there, and I don't know if Ellison was feeling very good or not. So I don't
Yeah,
think that they made it. And
I
You know-
remember something about that.
another thing I wanted to say that maybe Steve kind of got caught up and maybe they were weaning some calves or maybe it dried out. I can't necessarily remember, but there was a multitude of things that he couldn't make it. But last time I talked to him, I was driving. We've got a booth at the NFR up there, and I was driving, and I got in a boulder pile outside of wherever over there in Arizona, and I'm not very good about where I'm at, but I got to thinking about Steve, and I called him, and he was actually hunting. I think he was on his mule, and I need to call him. I like visiting with him. I had a cousin of mine that actually bought one of them ranches right there next to him for a little while and lived there for a few years. And anyway, they were neighbors for just a second. So kind of neat. I sure like Steve. He's very, very nice guy.
He's
And
right now he's
very-
hauling water. They're hauling
Oh,
water on
really?
those ranches.
Yeah.
Gosh, that sounds terrible. That sounds fun
Not a
at all.
good way to
Yeah.
invest in. That's not a good way to invest in profit.
No,
Back in
or fun.
back in 2011 or 12, I believe it was, I was taking a kid cancer hunt on a lion hunt for a hunt of a lifetime. I was hunting with, I think it was Destry Hot, and one of the ranchers says, "Oh, call Steve Smith," and gave me his number. I had no idea who Steve Smith was. I called him and said, "Hey, I'm just doing a lion hunt for a cancer kid. Would you be interested?" And he says, "Hey, let me see what I can do." And he was trying to get out, and he did call me back and say, "Man, I just can't make it." And I had no clue who Steve Smith was. And I've always had his number for the last 15 years in my phone until I started really talking to other people, and they're like, Steve Smith. I'm like, yeah, I know a Steve Smith down in Loeb area somewhere, and come out to be that. It was that Steve Smith. So didn't even know who I was talking to.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he was really not. Last year we kind of visited around and I'm drawing a blank now. I feel kind of embarrassed. Brett did an interview with Steve, or he actually did an interview with the other gentleman from Nevada.
Oh, that was the guy out of Nevada, Benny
Jim.
Bueller.
Jim
Yeah,
Bueller.
Jim Bueller.
Yeah. And I knew Jim was selling dogs, and to me, I called Wade when Steve had mentioned something about it, and I said, "Man, Wade, we have got to. I don't know what we got to do to try to," but it didn't pan out. But that's okay. It's just I was just thankful at least it crossed his mind that it's pretty cool. I like and he's a cowboy. That's what me and Wade like most about just old rancher that hunts lions and kicks around and just neat guy. That guy's cool. So
if he shows up in the room, you'll note it. He's only 6'8".
He's
Jeez.
That's what I thought. I was told
Goodness
he's huge.
gracious.
I'm
I'd get to meet him.
5'8" on a good day if I'm leaving a convenience store with snacks.
Yeah, me too, Dustin. On them
Just-
days when we're
Just
lying about it.
saying, it depends on which store I'm leaving and what shoes I'm wearing.
That's why I hang out with all these guys, because they make me feel tall at 5'10", 5'11".
Benny, he was kind of looking at a mule last year, and he told me he needed a big mule, but I didn't realize he was serious like that. I mean, like that takes a
Otherwise,
mule now. Yes, sir.
His feet will drag the ground.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking. Chris and I are on the lookout for one for about the same height for a guy the same deal, 6'8", big old string mean.
Oh, is he a tall guy?
Yeah, he's 6'8", Chris, 6'7", 6'8".
My boy didn't tell me that. I've talked to the guy 100 times, but
he's about 6'8", 140 pounds, I think.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, you said something about Steve's being nice, and Steve is genuinely nice, and I've only heard him talk bad about 2 people in this whole entire time that I've ever known Steve. I think the only person that might rival Steve for just being a genuine nice guy is Warner Glenn.
Glenn, yeah. That guy is a nice guy, and that guy doesn't stop. He's 100. Well, he walks normal, but he walks 100 miles an hour. Him and Kelly and Mackenzie, they just all doing something all the time. There's no stopping. You have to grab them literally. That's what we did to Kelly. We grabbed her and said, "Sit down. Well, we're going to talk to you." And we had to make her stop and talk. So I think her phone rang 5 times in that 20 minutes.
You guys get to live a different lifestyle. I've talked about it to guys often as, and some of my cowboy buddies that I've met up here in Williams, and I'm really jealous of the life you guys have grown up in. It's a true down to earth life that's very organic, and it means something. And when your word is as good as gold, and it's a very unique type of people, and I try to surround myself more with people who have grown up in that lifestyle, because I'm really envious of the life you guys have lived and the morals that you guys grown up with too. I think it's real high, and it means something more than just the average person. And I'm really, I can't really find the words, but I'm just real excited to go to this horses, hounds, and mules deal and be around everybody and be more in the community. And I try to do as much connecting as I can, but you can only do so much when it's over a text or a phone. And it's going to be real great to be there and be there with everybody and get to actually shake hands and just that environment that you guys talk about. I think it's going to be something real special.
Well,
I don't mean to keep everybody. I don't know what y'all. But I thought something that was pretty cool that Wade and I did last year. Well, it's something that me and Wade did last year that I thought was kind of neat that, I won't forget. Friday morning before the preview started last year, it was Wade and I and Keith Wilkerson and tie hair.
Oh my
and
gosh, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
You're getting in a rough crowd.
yeah, you could only imagine being. So we leave like how this is how much of a show it was. We unload dogs that get up at 2:00 in the morning because it's July. We get up at 2:00 in the morning, get out there, and we're loading our stuff and saddling our mules. And Wade kicks up. We get a dog bred before we even leave the house.
Well, we couldn't
And,
wait on him. We had to pick him up and put him in the trailer, and then we had to go. We were late.
Yeah. So anyway,
good.
we run over there, and what was cool is we got to trail line with those two guys that morning before the deal even started. You know, I just thought it was something that was neat. Like we unload our dogs, go up there and got lucky and cut a lion track, but it got rained on that afternoon that night. But it was just kind of cool, you know, that little sprinkle that screwed up our morning. But I mean, I thought, how cool would that have been if we could have caught a lion before the whole deal started with those two guys, you know, Keith.
Even just getting out there and doing it, though, man, you know, that's
Keith,
just the experience.
Keith is he comes across as a hard case, and he can
Yes.
be kind of grumpy acting and all, but nobody's got a heart any bigger than Keith Wilkerson.
No, he's a great guy. He's been a family friend for many years. My dad was very, very, very good friends with his brother. In fact, I got a crazy Byron Wilkerson story. So my dad used to have this horse he called TKO, and we used to have a ranch on the Southern Ute Reservation. My great aunt is a Southern Ute, and it was like 10 miles to from one tank to another before the working pens. And they would trot that horse 10 miles every morning before they'd get on him. And then they'd get on him, he'd work all day. But if you didn't trot him, he'd trash you right when you got on him. You have to time the trailer, else he'd duck out from underneath you. Well, my dad swapped him off somewhere. He had my dad's brand on him. And about 2 years later, he's at the pro rodeo at Flagstaff in the slack. And about 8 o'clock in the morning, it used to be earlier in the year, and it was cool. And they was calling, they changed the order of events. So team roping was first. And their second call, Byron Wilkerson, and they said, no, he's coming. And they see him. There's a racetrack there around the arena. And, man, Byron's loping over there. And, I mean, just gets lawn darted. And that horse runs around the track and runs right up to my dad. And it's TKO, got his brand on his shoulder. And, so that's another Wilkerson story. But, yeah, Keith, I need to call him and see what he's up to. He gave me a halter last year, and it's my prized possession. It's my favorite mule halter. And if he's around Keith, he'd probably know that halter, and I use it pretty much daily. Yep.
You know, people don't realize that Keith and Terrell Shelley are first cousins.
Yep. Yeah. Nobody really knows that. It's all a family ordeal. They all got kind of got the same dogs.
Yeah.
You know, I got some.
Are they first? Are they first cousins? I thought Terrell was Keith's uncle.
No, they're cousins.
No, gotcha. I'll be darned.
Yeah, I'm sure thankful when they have the line hunters. You know, it's a pretty dang fun deal there at Terrell's. And I'm no auctioneer, not anything like Trey, but I can sell the little donation deal for him. That's pretty dang fun.
Trey, are you auctioneer? Are you the auctioneer?
Yes, sir, I am. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to give you a little shout out to these.
Hire the workout. But.
He's what is it? Where'd you finish? Top 20 in the world LMA championship.
Oh, geez.
Jeez.
We got a celebrity on here.
Yeah, he'd been to Iowa.
Yeah, celebrity.
You go.
Roll out the red carpet now.
Yeah.
Some beef weighing 1,400 for about 238. Get you some of that, about 15 cents past the board. So it's pretty dang cool. Watch that happen.
You know what I love about these groups of people that we hang around is when you give them a little bit of credit, they kind of shut down. They're real modest. Anybody, you know, you could probably Warner Glenn, probably same thing. You know, you just kind of they don't like to be gloated on. I guess sometimes, you know, we're just doing what we do, and when they tell you you're good, you're like, well, I'm just doing what I do.
That says a lot about a fella, I think.
there's no bragging. There's no bragging about it, you know. I guess unless you're Richard Dickerson. I had to poke fun of that guy.
I'll tell you what, Rick Dickerson and I grew up together. We've known each other since grade school, and I've seen Dickerson go through the ups and downs. But at the end of everything, my daughter was looking at going to college down there at Alpine, Texas, and Rick called and said, "Hey, so is Jessica going to go to college down here?" I said, "I don't know. She hasn't decided." He says, "Well, if she does, you give her my phone number. You don't have to drive down here, Benny. If anybody needs their ass kicked, you just call me and I'll run over there."
There you go.
Oopsie.
That's weighted.
Oopsie.
That's worth its weight in gold right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, thinking about line hunters mentality, when I was in college, I got to be where I was friends with Kelly and Warner, and I got to go, and I try to spend the weekends in the springtime with them and go make some circles and hang out a little bit, and it's pretty dang fun to get to go make some circles and hunt a little bit, and at the end of the day, they're just cowboys and
They're just folks.
They're just folks.
I'll poke a feather in your hat. Kelly speaks extremely highly of you.
Oh, thank you, sir. I sure enjoyed my time I spent with them. They're so much dang fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got to go hunt a little bit down there this winter, and I didn't get to see him. I didn't get to stay very long. We had a hunter roll in and had some business, and we only got to hunt for like 3 days. Then he had to fly back out. We're gonna spend like 3 weeks up there.
Where did you hunt?
Turkey Creek. Went up there at Turkey Creek, and
oh, okay.
Yeah, we had a heck of a deal. A friend of mine had moved in there, and he's a line hunter too. And we didn't have that hunter for a couple days there, and I kid you not, we counted up. We had like 37 dogs turned out, and we didn't catch nothing. So I got to tell you something.
Man.
So, yeah, pretty.
You know what?
There.
Clump used to own a ranch up there in Turkey Creek, and they sold it.
I got you. I bet it might have went to like the Geronimo property things we would ride through. Them.
Probably, yeah.
Where do you live?
Me?
Yeah.
I live in Fruitland, New Mexico, so kind of
okay.
northwest corner. Yeah, I'm like 20 miles south of the Colorado line, very northwest corner, just off the Navajo Reservation.
Okay.
You know, I titled this one "The Big Dog is No Longer Around" because we were going to talk about dogs that, you know, you rely on. But hell, I mean, there's no difference when the big dogs like Warner Glenn, John Clump, Steve Smith, Mike Ruth, all these guys, when they're not around, who's going to – it's hard to even imagine somebody to take their place in this day and age.
It's a different time, man.
It's a very different time. Just think about it 20 years from now or 30 years, 40 years, when we're 60, 70, 80. You know, Wade, you're not a very old dude. For you to be able to get to hunt with someone like Warner Glenn at your age is phenomenal.
Well,
there's 50, 60. There's people his age that don't get to hunt with Warner Glenn. You know what I mean?
Oh, no,
that's a heck of a deal.
Very much so. You know, we all have our own mentors in somewhat. Some of us don't, some of us do. But you know, I mean, to have something like that is very, very special, and to count yourself very lucky with that for sure.
Well, but the Glens typically invest in one or two young people at a time, you know, and that's just something that they've always done. And so I don't know how you get to draw the straw that's you, but you know, it's just like Scotty Derringer, Samson. He spent a lot of time down there hunting with them too. And it's not like he needs anything else. I mean, you know, for crying out loud, it's Sam's son. But just to broaden his horizons, he spent time down there with the Glens too.
Oh, very definitely. You know, definitely, Benny. A lot of these I don't know what the right word for it is, but these old timers, some of these guys that are legends in our eyes and in the way of life that we truly enjoy, they really don't want that recognition. They don't want like, oh, all these young guys want to come spend time with me. To them, it's just every day, you know.
Yeah,
To,
absolutely.
to someone like Warner Glenn, it's just his life that he goes and hunts, that he goes and spends time with his dogs, that he truly just goes out on his horse or his mule, whatever he rides, and spends time with his dogs and hunt lions. To him, it's just a way of life. But to someone like me, man, that is the life. That is the goal. That is what I'm after. Is to be someone that can just go hunt, to go out back, saddle my mule, collar my dogs, and go hunt so many days a week. That is the goal.
Yes, sir.
Well, the
And-
coolest part about them is you don't get to hear their stories unless you're sitting around a campfire with them.
Yeah,
You know, they don't put their stories on social media.
No.
They're not out there trying to tell everybody in the world every story. And
Yep.
so that's what makes it so valuable and makes it so unique when you do get to go spend time with folks like that they're around the campfire type of stories. They're not the stories that everybody shares all over the place all the time. And then that's how you really, you learn something and you bond with those type of people and you carry that for the rest of your life.
Very much so, Brandon. You know, I've been lucky enough to spend time with some people like that. And, you know, Benny, unfold those arms. Speak.
No,
looking
did
so
you-
bored.
because
Did you guys know
Benny
my
has had
shoulders?
so much. Benny has had so much more opportunity than some of us. You know, I've had great opportunity and great mentors, and Benny is so much beyond that I'm just gonna unfold them again, Benny. Let's talk. You know, Benny and I speak on the phone, and I enjoy our conversations, and I really wish everyone else could be a part of that. And you know, let's hear that opinion, Benny. I love it when you talk.
Well, I was, Warner Glenn doesn't understand why everybody's drawn to him.
Yeah,
He doesn't understand what does everybody want to talk to me about, and I think it's just what you guys were talking about, the purity, the morals, if Warner Glenn tells you something, you can bank on it for the rest of your life. And that in today's world, that's hard to come by.
yeah, and to him, it's just
an everyday life.
yeah, to him, it's just a hey, you should do this. You know, I kind of seen this. You should do this. It's a minimal thing to him, but to us, it's astronomical.
So when I set the deal up to introduce Brett to Warner and Kelly, when we were down there the first time with John, and it's really odd to me, but I'm not that person. Brett was giddy. Brett had everything in the back of my pickup to interview Warner, and we're just there, and Warner finally said, "Hey, did you want to interview, or did you want to?" And Brett says, "Well, really," and I finally said, "Hey, yeah, he does. That's what this is about. We're here so that Brett will have an opportunity to interview you and sit down and talk." And I got to see that in somebody, like the awe. Well, I don't want to intrude on you. I don't want to come across as pushy. I don't want to. Just sit tight. We'll go get all of my stuff out of the pickup. And so Warner and Mackenzie and Kelly right away started rearranging furniture so that there was a place to get everything done. And Steve and I talk about this because I think I'm 9 years younger than Steve. And everybody that Steve knew is dead. All of his real good friends, that's older than him. And I knew those same people. And Steve and I were talking, and I said, "So Smith, we're next." He says, "Hey man, I don't want to think about it." He says, "Yeah, but this deal, it's over for us." And I said, "Well, all we got to do is just set up the right people to follow in behind us." And so that's, it's a hard place to be, but all of those people like Bill Workman, Larry Hendricks, um, Terrell Shelley's, man, if you, Wade, did you go to Terrell's deal last year?
Yes, sir, I did. Yes, sir.
Terrell, it's sad to see Terrell. I mean, that's part of life,
Yes, sir.
but I knew Terrell earlier when he was going and blowing, you know? And so
He just muted. Can you guys hear him?
Mm.
You muted on us.
Your mic die?
Plugged in. You know what's crazy about Terrell is I just put a podcast up with him that
how's that?
There you
yeah,
go.
we can hear you now. Go ahead.
I sat on it. I was dancing right here, I guess. But anyway, you know, when I saw Terrell at Earn Your Spurs, I thought, damn, that's not the same guy that I knew. And we're all headed there. Nobody gets out of this life alive. But to know all of these other people like Karen, I always said Karen LeCount. That's what she was before she married Richard Holcomb. But there was just a class of people. I never took the time to go meet Dale Lee. I talked to him on the phone several times, and he'd say, you know, and he only lived an hour and a half from me. But I was young, I was on fire, I was tearing things up, and I just didn't have time. And then one day Dale died. So that's why I've changed things up, and I've made it a habit. If I wanted to go meet somebody, I found out where they live, and I drove up in the yard and kicked on their door and said, hey, you know, first time I rolled up into Hendricks's front yard, he said, what can I do for you? Kind of gruff. And I said, well, first of all, let me introduce myself and tell you that we have several common friends. And he said, okay, so tell me who's these friends and I'll tell you if we've got them or not. And I went down this list. He said, well, then sit down and tell me what brings you. And Larry Hendricks and I hit it off, you know. And because of Larry Hendricks, then I got to know Steve. I was introduced to Steve by a guy at Tano, Justin Marks. And because of my friendship with Larry, then that brought Steve's mind around a little bit more to me. And I got to meet a bunch of these people, you know. I found out where Karen LeCount, she wasn't married to Richard yet. She was living up there in southern Utah. And I found out where she lived. A buddy of mine said, hey, you're here at Herc and it's only 20 minutes up the road. Told me how to get to her house, and I went and knocked on the door. So I'm built different than a lot of people, but that you know, now the next generation I see like Sam Derringer and some of these other guys. There's some of the Meekums over there that is carrying the deal on, but you don't hear anything about the McBrides in Texas anymore. I don't know what they're doing, you know. So all I can say, guys, is if this thing doesn't die, it's because all of you guys fought to carry it on.
You know, and you talk about that, Benny, and it makes me a little bit more, kind of kick me in the ass a little bit, for lack of better words, to follow through with this. But I had probably about a 2-hour conversation on the phone with John Klump a few months ago, and he invited me down to come and hunt. And I had been kind of debating it and figuring out when I could do it. And from what I've been told, when you go hunt with John, you got to be ready to hunt for about 2 months, not 2 weeks. So I've got to figure that timing out. But, you know, when you say things like that, you know, it's like, if I don't do it, you know, and John passes, I think I'll highly regret it. And that's something I really want to make sure that I do, because of, you know, everybody that talks about that's hunted with them, just, they always say they leave learning something, that's for sure. And whether it's, you know, one thing or the other, where, you know, I think just the experience in alone would be worth it 100%.
If you get down there to hunt with John, you'll want to go to the Taylor place. That's where we were, and you'll get to experience the the dangers of the Mexicans coming across the border. I mean, it's more than just a hunt. And if you have the luck to meet a bunch of his boys,
Mm-hmm.
that's just a bonus because
Mm-hmm.
they are 100% as genuine as
Oh.
John.
Mm-hmm.
His grandkids. Meet his grandkids, man.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah. I've heard they're good as gold, and that's something I'm pretty excited to do. And I definitely, when you say that, Betty, it definitely lights a fire to make that happen.
If you guys saw that video the first time Brett and I were down there with John, not when he interviewed John, but the first time, and there was a part of the video was at night, and a whole bunch of the clumps, cousins and in-laws and the whole our campfire out there in the yard was surrounded by all these other people and a whole bunch of little kids. And Brett made some kind of comment about, I'm just enjoying this and this is what it's all about. And we just got to sit back and watch all of those people live and those little kids and coming and going and you get to experience that like it's not as common anymore with the clumps because there's so many of those guys. John's got 6 boys and they're not all right there together. They're scattered out all over. But when they all get together and some of John's cousins that Walmart owns a bunch of country down there and raises beef. And John's got cousins that work for Walmarts. And then his daughter-in-law has a sister. Oh crap! This is embarrassing. Now I can't think of his Coy that does all the bridal, the bits and spurs and stuff. Coy Wine Bar.
Mm-hmm.
They showed up down there with their kids, and his wife is Caitlin Clump's sister, and they're all right there together, and you don't find that very often anymore. And that's part of what you will experience if you go down there for more than 1 hour.
Yeah, and that family value and that tight family unity is not a thing as is in in our country anymore. So when you get to experience that, that's a pretty special thing. I agree.
I bet you them boys' phones died. They're not used to being on a podcast. We just keep talking.
Like, what the hell?
One was sitting in his truck. I bet you his phone died, and Wade just dusted us. So
Yeah.
So Tim B's comment, you can meet Clump's granddaughter that's mad at Brett. That was actually Coy Weinbar's daughter.
Mm.
And so Rowdy
Olivia?
says, mad at Brett? No. Was it? No.
The one he was goat roping with.
Yeah, it was the little goat roping girl that she was 9 years old and she was disgusted
Oh yeah,
with
she was
Brett.
mad. I got
And
video.
Brett-
I wish I'd upload it of Brett falling down when he was roping those goats.
Yeah. And Brett offered to pay her entry fee for the next round and she said, no, I can pay my own way. 9 years old.
Yeah, old Brett missed on her. So
Oh shit.
Yep.
Oh well.
Well, that sale ought to be real good. I'm pretty dang excited about that, and I'm real grateful for those guys that are putting that on. And just the community in its own. What we do here, it's kind of like you get to bring all these guys that can't just get on the phone or get on a podcast, get in chat, and we can all be there in person. That's what matters most. It's just campfire type of times.
Definitely.
That's kind of me and Brett started that Hound Rendezvous thing.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it was unorganized. Nothing happened like it should have, besides the dinner that Casey Fair, which I am going down tomorrow to Casey Fair in Young, and he's going to show me the camp spot for our Hound Rendezvous. Before I jump into that and try to sell that, United Houndsmen of Colorado 2025 annual banquet. When is this?
August 2nd.
August 2nd. There it is.
Right there. Big white letters.
The hell, Robbie's gonna be there?
Robert Chase sent it to me and Dustin sent it to me, so I figured I better show up. But all these little events like this, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Ours is, I'm trying to put together the Hound Rendezvous right now, and I'm gonna tell you what, it's shit. It's tough. I called some people trying to get a help out. It's tough to plan, but the last year, the best time we had was Sunday morning when it was all over. Brett sitting around in his shorts or his sweats. We're all just sitting around. I'm making, tacos or egg burritos.
I shit you not. It was friggin' 12-year-old bear meat tacos.
But it was 12. It was from 2012. So whatever that makes.
They were good.
That is 12.
I didn't find out they were that old till I got home. They were good. But
hey, you made it home before pulling over, so you're real good.
I did. They were
But
good.
the best time we had was sitting around my horse trailer, 10, 15 of us just talking shit.
Yeah,
about telling stories. Casey Fair telling stories. We had Joe Hott there.
Yeah.
And the night before, and we did like a little live with Joe Hott. I'm gonna tell you, nobody really knows Joe Hott. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna tell you that guy. I hunted with him. I got to hunt with Joe Hott and Destry and all them back in 2011 or 12. I don't remember when it was. And same thing, Cancer Kid. Those guys came and helped me out. I don't know if you guys know who Ryan Bader is. He's a UFC fighter.
Yep.
Joe Hott's cousin or nephew or whoever it was had him on a line hunt, and this dude quits line hunting to come help us out. He gave up his day on that hunt. I got pictures of us all. The only thing I didn't get is a video of old Ryan Bader falling flat on his face on a sage. Oh, it'd been great. But that's the kind of people us people are.
Well, it just goes to show, like Joe Hott is just one of those guys that just honestly, for lack of better words, just kind of lives in the shadows. That honestly has caught more, hunted more than most of these guys that
you got to know a lot of cowboys to know the name Joe Hott.
Yeah, like you hear these big names. He's one of those guys that's lived the same life but never been in the spotlight. And to hear his stories and hear him talk, it was insane. Like all these guys are like, yeah, they took away his horse, they took away his driver's license, so that guy will walk from his house for 3 hours just to go hunt. And he'll still beat you up the hill.
Yeah.
And he was
Yeah, and he was telling us stories about Del Lee when his brother died.
Yeah.
They were up there. Like it's amazing to me. Like Terrell Shelley, that interview you did with Warriors El Gato with Bruce Kennedy. He's talking about Del Lee like they were just hanging out buddies.
Yeah.
And that was their era. I wonder, you sit back and think, did they think, is there ever going to be someone better than, and then it comes out Terrell Shelley is that next guy.
Yeah.
He is the dog that stepped up when the old dog died. All these people that you may not know. And that's why I said in 30 years, 40 years, I don't know who it's going to be. Are they going to sit around and be like, oh, Kirk, what's that dude's name?
Kirk Price.
Kirk Price. You know what I mean? Are they going to?
I think we're all.
I
think at the end of the day, we're all working towards, hoping that we can be that person. You know what I mean? If you hunt hard enough, at the end of the day, you want to be somebody that people respect enough that they will look at your name and think, "Wow, that person's put the work in." Not anything else. Is that because that's how we look at? We don't look at those guys as, some sort of, I don't know. We look at them a little larger than life, but we know what the end of the day is. They put the work in, they put the time in, and that's what we respect. And it's as raw as it can get,
And we have now we have the technology. Are someone going to be watching this stupid ass podcast and they're talking, they got to go with Warner Glenn. They got to hunt with Steve Smith. They got to do all this stuff,
Yeah.
It's just, you think about it and it's like, gosh, dang. Are we
That's why I said. That's why I said, you guys, it's up to you guys what the future is.
100%.
I think that's why we're all here, though, is to protect it.
Yeah,
at least
and it's up to us to encourage the next generation too. Getting these, like Dustin with his kids. That's such a great thing to see those kids getting involved in this and falling in love with it at a young age. Because man, there's a lot of kids out there that I think that their whole life would be changed if they were introduced to this, you know. And like I know mine would have if I would have been a younger man when I, you know, or just a teenager when I got introduced to hounds. If I could have had a mentor at that age and had somebody take me by the hand and go, "Hey, man, this is what you want in life, and I promise you're going to love this." And you know, as long as they can show some interest and put the right foot forward and show you that they want to be there, is investing the time into those people. Like Benny said, you know. The Glens take on a couple of young folks every year because they know that it's without continuing it somewhere, it's going to die. And we got to pass it on. And even if though we're the younger, you know, generation, we're never too young to keep passing that stuff on and encourage these young kids and find a kid that's, you know, in his teenage years that, you know, maybe he's got a driver's license and a little pickup that wants to learn, you know what I mean? It just, yeah,
definitely. You know, I mean, and I don't know if, you know, I know not everyone's on social media, but I did a reel a few days ago that was like, "Oh, are you worried about your daughters, you know, raising them in this time?" And I was like, "No, they're their father's daughter."
Mm-hmm.
What I'm worried about is in a few years, is she gonna have better dogs and out hunt me? and I showed my daughter that. She said, I mean, in kid terms nowadays, she said, "Bet I will do online school." And she says, "I will out you." I was like, it wasn't a challenge. I said, "You got a few years before you can out hunt your old man." She says, "You want to bet?" She says, "I'll do online school." I said, "I have to sign off on that." And she goes, "Mom will."
just to make her better than you.
Yeah, but that's so awesome that
let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
Oh, she would. She's like, she asked.
If you have kids, do not take them down to the clumps because your kids will be little wussies. I talked to Sam. Is that her name? She posts her stuff, and I text her. I'm like, Sam, "Dude, you got to quit posting this stuff."
Sam is Riley's wife, and Riley is fourth.
Yeah, I met Riley
down the line.
Austin.
You met
the other. Starts with the R. Always forget his name.
You met Tyler. Tyler sat down with us.
Yeah,
and there's another Ryan. Ryan lives at Duncan.
Yeah. I mean, it just his grandkids. I came home from that and I just beat my kids for no reason. Said, "You guys are nothing." When I think my kids are tough, you go down there, and I'm gonna tell you what. When a 4-year-old gets on a horse when it's dark to run up a canyon to fetch a goat, and says, you know, she's like, "It's dark." He said, "You're on a horse." She says, "Yeah, but there's snakes." He goes, "You're on a horse. They can't reach you." Okay. She goes up. Yeah, it's crazy.
So Sam and Riley have twin boys, and Jackson is wild. I mean, wild. They built their house above the hay barn and working pens. So it's 12, 13 feet off the ground, the deck going around. And John says, "You guys need to fence that off." And they never did get it fenced off until Jackson jumped off at 3 years old. 3.
Daggone.
3. He jumped. And he had a little scuff on the side of his face. Yeah. That's all.
I wanted to put my kids up in my barn and push them off just to see if he was a stuff.
Anyway, hey guys, I'm gonna bail. You guys have a good evening.
Thanks, Benny.
Thank you, Mr. Benny.
Thanks, Benny.
Thanks, Benny.
Well, as usual, guys, we had a topic, and I guess we did follow that topic in a way.
Oh, very much so.
I'd rather talk about the old big dogs that are running the dogs than the dogs we have.
Oh,
yeah. It was a good conversation. It's going to be a really cool podcast leading into next week and stuff like that, you know, with the heading up there to the sale and whatnot.
Yep, you'll be out Friday.
Yeah.
I try to get these out Friday.
Yeah.
So
are you planning on doing anything like a live at the sale or anything like that?
Hey, we can.
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm not set up like Brett. Brett has a bunch of camera stuff. I mean, if I could get Brett to get off his butt and get up there.
Yeah.
I have one camera.
That's all right. We'll just enjoy it, and everybody who wasn't there has to hear the stories about it next week.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. Right on.
But
All right.
it was a
Well, I'm
good
gonna
show.
jump out, guys. I got some stuff to do.
Yeah, I
but
think it's
I'll,
about that time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with Brandon there. Gonna head out. Definitely enjoyed it. Like I say,
Yeah.
we don't always stay on topic, but honestly, I really think
I think
did
we were on point.
Just talking
It was a
about.
good
I mean,
show.
we weren't talking dogs. We were talking
About the real big dogs.
houndsmen. Yeah, very much
Legends.
so.
the guys have paved the way for us to do what we can do and keep doing it, and we just gotta carry on that tradition that they've kind of set out for us. And I think this is having the horses, hounds, and mules sale, having stuff like this, having guys get together, doing the rendezvous. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes, sir.
it's more important than what we realize. I think, when we get just consumed in our lives, we get going with our day-to-days, but it's good to just slow the hell down, go and meet up, and all just bullshit and talk and remember what we're here to do this for.
What
Yes, sir.
And like you say, that environment that's going to be there is unparalleled.
Yeah.
I mean, we create an environment here on this show, but I mean, to be in that place with that many people, just the environment is what I'm truly excited about, and that'll be worth it.
Absolutely
Worth no matter what, whatever happens. It's
if you can be there. If you can be there
Yeah.
for listening, if you can get there, because it's something you're probably not going to want to miss out on.
No, very much so.
Yeah.
In that, I won't Irish goodbye.
You're gonna say goodbye and leave?
Dude.
I thought you did it already 14 minutes ago.
Honestly,
I was like, that son of a bitch. Got us
honestly,
again.
I'm very good at the Irish goodbye, but tonight I'm gonna say thank you and I'm out.
Yeah.
All
Thanks,
righty,
guys.
guys. Appreciate
Y'all have a
everybody
good
coming
night.
on.
Yep.
See you
Take
guys
care.
next week.
Later.
Yes, sir. See y'all.
Well,